Hey, anyone who's serious about fishing obviously puts a lot of thought into how they set up, how they rig their boat. I'm just in the process of setting up my boat. I've just got the electronics on, I've got the sonar, I've got the trolling motor, and now I'm moving on to rod holders. It doesn't take a lot of time to install these things, but once you do install them, they tend to be on your boat for a long time. So it's worth putting that little extra thought, comparing ideas, and trying to get it done right the first time. So this is what I've come up with ultimately. I've got two sets of rod holders on my boat. I've actually got the Scotty type of rod holder where I've actually mounted it to, actually this boat has a sport track system, which is basically a plastic pad that can mount anywhere in the boat without doing any damage to the gunnel. Those types of rod holders are great for like light duty drifting trolling situations. But for me, like many of you, I also need a trolling setup that can really put up with some serious abuse. Muskie fishing is a prime example. So what I'm in the process of doing is I'm in the process of mounting a second set of rod holders on the boat. And what I'm going with for that second set are going to be a set of these Downeaster rod holders. These are like cast iron, virtually indestructible. These things will probably outlive me. I'll be able to pass them along to my kids when I'm done with them. So just exactly what you want when you're doing some hardcore trolling, grinding bottom, heavy lines, heavy lures. You do not want to rely on plastic because you run the risk of breaking the rod holder, losing your rod, losing your fish. What I'm making use of is this downrigger plate that comes directly from London. It's made specifically to fit into the Sport Track system. So you can see I can put it on this groove on the inside. I can put it in there like that. And then I can simply pull it down over the side. And now, Lund also has a second track in the front, same track that's holding my snaps for my tarp. Now I'm going to be able to fasten it really firmly into that track. And I'm going to have something that's really solid. And in this bracket, I don't mind if I drill this bracket up and I have to do some damage to it to get my rod holders on there. But because I can always just replace the bracket, it's a lot better than actually damaging the gunnel itself. I'm making use as well of this Trax Tech bracket, which I'm putting the Downeaster on, and it's a really cool system because it basically slides in and it can come in from either side. I can flip my downrigger or my rod holder over if I want to. And in order to start the process, I'm going to first put it in place and with a pencil just lay out my guide holes where I'm going to drill it. And keep this in mind, when you're mounting this, you want that bracket as far to the edge of the boat as possible, because a lot of times when we troll muskies, we like to get our rods out to the side. We like to get the rod tip down in the water to help cut through vegetation and deal with all that drifting vegetation. So I want that rod to be as far out to the side of the boat as possible. So I'll put my bracket in place, simply trace out where I want those holes. Okay, now that the pilot hole's done, I'll finish it off with the full-size drill. So it's simple enough now. We're just going to assemble it. So we just finished tightening them all down, really snug. And there's our completed next step. This is now ready to mount onto the boat. So now that I have my base plate installed onto the trolling or the downrigger bracket, now I'm going to position it where I want to on the boat. Again, this isn't that critical because the fact that I can actually move it around. If I fish with it for a few days, don't like the way it's set up, I can easily move it around. If I want to add more on one side of the boat or the other, that's really easy to do with this Sport Track system. So I'm actually able to use this outer track here. I'm going to install some of these black plastic brackets. Line them up. I'm doing like every other hole. And now pull that plate down over top. And now it's ready to screw it in. And voila, I've got it nice and firmly mounted. Next, we need to assemble the sport track bracket. We're running the downeaster rod holders in this situation. And there's two different types of downeaster rod holders. So you got to make sure you get the one with the solid base like this. So simple enough here. Just disconnect. They're all pre-drilled holes. And voila, bracket attached. And now, with my rod holder mounted there, I've got my trolling system all ready to go. In fact, I'll throw a rod in there and just see. Oh, here's one right here. Okay, so with this rod here now, if all works out well, and with an adjustment, you can see there, I can drop that thing way down into the water, way off the side of the boat, angle it back even better, lock it in place. There you go. If you troll a lot, you're going to have to give some serious thought to how you're going to rig out your boat. The thought that I put into it, this is the system I ultimately settled with. I've got these for my heavy duty trolling. I've got the Scotties for my lighter applications. With any luck, some of these tips, some of this observation will be useful for you when you're setting up your boat. Happy trolling.